What do you feel right after watching porn? Relief? Fatigue? Guilt? Or just emptiness? Porn has become part of many people's daily routine, silent, accessible, and hidden. But here's what almost no one talks about: it's changing your brain. And not just your pleasure. Your memory, your focus, your relationships, even your sense of reality. The problem isn't watching porn. The problem is not understanding what it's doing to you. While it seems harmless, it's quietly rewiring your mind without you even noticing. This video isn't about judging anyone. It's not about telling you what's right or wrong. It's about giving you awareness. Because what you watch shapes who you become, and your brain is paying attention to everything. We're going to talk about dopamine, addiction, artificial pleasure, emotional dysfunction, and even how porn can impact your productivity and relationships. And if you're into content like this, hit the like button and subscribe. Your support helps us keep creating videos that challenge the way you think. Let's dive in. When you watch porn, your brain gets flooded with dopamine, the main neurotransmitter for motivation and reward. It's the same circuit activated by drugs like cocaine, according to a 2000 study in the Journal of Neuroscience. This creates a loop: visual stimulus, instant pleasure, repeat. The problem? That pleasure comes with zero effort, no emotional connection, and no real interaction. And your brain learns, why invest time and energy in something complex when I can get a hit in minutes? That's where the silent reprogramming of your motivation begins. Over time, the things that used to excite you, studying, training, working, start to feel slow and unrewarding. You get bored faster. Everything loses its spark. And that's when many people return to porn, not for pleasure, but for escape. The human brain adapts to repeated stimuli. It's what neuroscientists call desensitization. In a 2014 study published in JAMA Psychiatry, German researchers found that men who watched porn frequently had reduced activity in the prefrontal cortex, the brain area tied to impulse control and empathy. What does that mean? Over time, lighter scenes stop doing the trick. You crave something more intense, more extreme, more graphic. This escalation happens subtly, and before you know it, you're not even feeling much pleasure anymore, but you still can't stop. Worse, this desensitization bleeds into real life. Real connections feel dull. Touch loses its magic. Your partner's body seems less interesting. You didn't lose your desire, you just numbed it. Ever feel like you can't focus on something important for more than 10 minutes? It might not be a discipline problem, it could be unbalanced dopamine. A 2015 study from the University of Cambridge found that compulsive porn users have brain patterns similar to substance addicts, with hyperactive reward responses and low motivation. When your brain gets used to the shock of porn, it starts rejecting anything that takes effort without instant gratification. Try to study? You get distracted. Try to work? You reach for your phone. Try to sleep? You scroll endlessly. This isn't laziness, it's a hijacked reward system. And as everything becomes a distraction, you feel unproductive and frustrated, so you turn to porn again to soothe the anxiety. What started as a distraction becomes a habit. That habit becomes a cycle. And in that cycle, your attention shatters and your energy vanishes. Porn shows bodies, but erases connection. A 2017 study from Brigham Young University found a direct correlation between heavy porn use and reduced satisfaction in real-life relationships. No surprise there, your brain starts associating intimacy with visuals, not emotions. The result? You lose patience with your partner. You lose interest in subtle touch, in deep conversation, in real moments. Because none of it compares to the intensity of fantasy. And the saddest part? Even when someone's right beside you, you feel alone. That's when emotional side effects kick in: disinterest, irritability, emotional distance, insecurity. You stop feeling the other person and stop feeling present yourself. Sex becomes performance. Affection becomes a chore. And what used to feel natural now feels like effort. What you watch often becomes familiar. And what's familiar starts to feel normal. A 2016 study from Stanford University showed that frequent porn consumption shifts people's perception of what acceptable sexual behavior looks like, especially among teens and young adults. In other words, porn doesn't just show bodies, it teaches behavior. It tells you how desire should look, how pleasure must work, and what a perfect body needs to be. And over time, that becomes your reference. Anything outside that pattern starts to feel wrong, unattractive, or not enough. Eventually, you don't even know what your real desires are and what's just conditioning. Your sexuality becomes scripted. Your pleasure becomes scripted. And your identity gets molded by what you consume. Without realizing it, you stop living your truth and start living what you saw on screen. Watching porn isn't the end of the world. But ignoring what it does to your brain might be. Your reward system changes. Your perception changes. Your relationships change. And somewhere in the middle of all that, you may start to feel more and more disconnected from yourself. The goal here isn't to tell you to stop, or to keep going. It's to invite you to notice what's changing inside and to have the courage to choose more consciously. Because what enters through the screen doesn't stay on the screen. It stays in your memory. In your habits. In your desires. And sooner or later, it shapes your reality. If this video made you think, share it with someone who needs to hear this. And if you've noticed how porn has affected your life, or if you've managed to break free, share your story in the comments. A lot of people are struggling with this in silence. Your story might change someone's day.